Hi there, welcome to some of the latest news on the Jay Slater missing person case. It's just recently come out titled that a friend of Jay Slater has reached out on Facebook to give a disturbing update. And upon hearing that with little to no context, it could mean anything. But it seems to revolve more so around the trolls, the hate, the resistance online, the friends or the family being targeted within this case. But to be honest, it's no different to YouTubers, creators covering a case who get attacked. It's no different to that TikTok star called Callum Fahim, that went out there, actually boarded a plane to Tenerife to search about, was able to do so for a week or two, and then ended up leaving because he felt like his life was in danger, whether that be from some kind of criminal underground network, which may be a bit of a reach, but you never know. And whether it was exaggerated or not, the person felt they were unsafe. But as for the family and friends, whether they feel unsafe or not, they're still searching, which in a way is understandable, just in a general situation, right? If there's someone or something you care about for good or bad reasons, you will participate in it through and through, from start to finish, if it's important to you, even if there is resistance from elsewhere. I do get that. But in the first place, got to try and understand, why does there need to be resistance in the first place, and who and how is it targeted at? I mean, at the end of the day, what it will mainly consist of course, typically online, because the anonymity and the lack of consequences behind it, same old, right? Just in general. But as for the people targeted, well, that can be anyone and everything, right? You cover the case, you participate in it, you believe in it, you just share some simple ideas for and against arguments and be as balanced as possible, you'll get attacked no matter. You boots on ground, you could get attacked. You cover it online, you definitely attacked. Supposedly TikTok is a cesspit where some of the cancer comes from. I was considering doing some long format videos over there, but to be honest, because of the levels of engagement, degeneracy, impetuous, egocentric behavior, low attention, low retention span, don't think it's worth my time. But because YouTube is the main platform, the popular platform, and a lot more people gather, just stick with this for now, because there's no need for that unwarranted resistance when you're just trying to make sense of a case. Because at the end of the day, whether somebody documents their findings, documents their ideas, their concepts, documents their journey when searching, whatever, I mean, just like someone else does the same thing or talks amongst friends, theorizes, comes up with ideas in the background without making a video about it. I think it's the concept of the publicizing yourself, putting yourself out there, such as online, which then triggers the resistance. And as I've said in the past, sometimes resistance can be a good thing. It's a sign you're getting too close to the truth. But to be honest, I think on this occasion, because of the amount of resistance, how it's all over the place and spread out, it's not just those within the case, but it's also outsiders as well that are just listening in or trying to make sense of the news, what's fact-based and what's BS. And why would that be the case? It's because this case is somewhat high profile, it's popular. You could call it a trend. Let's be realistic. So a range of different people can hop onto it. Some people just smoothly transition in. If it's within their interest, if they find the case interesting, there's nothing wrong with that. So with it being more popular, more people will gather. And the more people that gather, the higher the chances that something could go wrong at some point. And like with, if you want to call it trolls, I don't really like using that word. It's a bit too repetitive, sheepish language. But when you get resistance online, they'll do it for the fun of it. And because there is an audience and a good amount of people present behind a community, behind a channel, behind the family, wherever, that support, the more disruption that can come out from it and the more satisfaction from it as well, those that cause resistance. But besides the general type of resistance, the other ones that may attack with a bit more of a sharper tone, so the threats, the death threats, such as that TikTok star Callum Fahim, who was just simply trying to search. Does any of the resistance, the death threats, the heavy resistance, does it warrant it towards anyone in the case? I'd say no, because at the end of the day, let's just say, if this case is a sham, if the people involved is a sham, it's fake, it's staged. I'm not saying that it is, I'm just saying in a scenario, which doesn't mean to say it's 100% true, but on the basis that it was in a different reality. I don't know how many more times I need to word it just so people get into the thick schools, but basically, if it turned out to be a complete load of BS, the whole thing, but in the background, people were either profiting or benefiting in some way. And then the rest of the human race has been led astray, and many have been sheeple followers, brainwashed, indoctrinated by it, or easily convinced, naive, and then end up finding out afterwards. Be a bit of shock, there'd be a bit of disappointment, of course, but there'd be an uproar as well, wouldn't there? So you think the family or the friends of friends or anyone out there, even Jay himself, if they tried returning back to where they live, the UK, I don't think it would go down too well. Maybe they couldn't return. If it turned out that it was all fake and people benefited in the background, whether they're all in on it or some, to return back to the UK would be very awkward, possibly dangerous. If people are already receiving death threats, threatening messages, broken legs, broken backs, whatever it might be, even if it's just for the fun of it and it's messing about, it still needs to be treated in somewhat of a serious way because you never know what's around the corner. And if simple people, if the general public who may just engage in this case and cover it, talk about it, discuss it, get attacked to quite an extreme extent, then knows within the case, it can only be much worse for them. And in the general public, some people put the argument across and say, well, it's justified, it's worth it. If they've screwed people over, if they've deceived people, they need to suffer, they need to pay. But in terms of death threats and possible death, is that a step too far? I'm not going to say, it's not for me to speak about to that extent, but you can always share your thoughts and opinions down below. All I would say with any case, with any key person in the case or people of interest within, friends, family members, strangers, those to last seen Jay, etc., anyone in that sphere, to treat them with resistance, threats, or anything like that, I would say is reckless. Because if any of them knew something, by showing that resistance, you're going to push them away. You might even scare them off, and then you may never get the truth. Sometimes you've got to work with the devil in order to make progress. And then after that, there can be a form of judgment or a form of consequence. But in the moment, this level of resistance doesn't do much good. Maybe for some, the resistance is funny, messing about, so people benefit that way. But in general, does it speed up the case? Does it solve it any quicker? No. Could it delay and drag things out? Possibly. Is anyone deserving of that resistance? Not exactly for me to say, but you can always share your thoughts down below in the comments. So, with this, understanding, let's take a closer look at that news article with that disturbing Facebook update by one of the friends. Well, here we are. There is a title, but first, as for the article, the page it's on, it's from the birminghammail.co.uk. Missing Jay Slater's friend issued disturbing Facebook update. Now, I don't know if you could understand what I'm trying to say, but I'll speak some proper English right now. The missing teen from Lancashire went missing in mid-June after a rave he attended with pals Lucy Law and Brad Hargreaves. Now, as for Lancashire, people from the US could possibly pronounce it as Lancashire, but you need to get with it in terms of how you pronounce it. We got James Roger, this was by photo there, which we've probably seen time and time again. We need to see these disturbing updates. Where are they exactly? Heartbreaking Facebook update for the search continues on. Yes, Rachel Hargreaves. Who's she? Whose son is Jay's close friend. So Rachel Hargreaves must be the mother to Brad Hargreaves, if I'm correct in saying. So Rachel has taken to Facebook. Oh, right, so there's another name in the pot now. More and more people get involved and start speaking out. I wonder who's going to show up next. The local postman and his cat? I wonder. But yeah, Rachel taken to Facebook to provide an update and slammed out of control speculation and vowed to tackle the trolls spreading hurtful remarks. People keep saying, why haven't we posted in this group? she wrote. Some people are trying to send hurtful comments and disturbing things that have nothing to do with this, so this is why it's the way it is. So sadly, it will remain paused, and if anyone has anything important, please send it to me. Right, so what page are we talking about? Is there some kind of official Jay Slater missing person Facebook group, but it's private or so? I mean, at the end of the day, when it came to the Noah Presgrove case, there was levels of resistance there, still ongoing, and there was spies in the past. The best thing to do, set the page to private, have some kind of requirement to join, have some moderators as well, and you should be okay. I mean, you know, at the end of the day, there can always be people that deceive, but there are ways about it to try and reduce, minimize. But yeah, it's just interesting how new people keep coming out. But this is the problem. Those within the case, friends are friends, family are family, whatever, whoever. They're going about the trolls, they're going about the sleuths, they're going about the armchair detectives, they're going about the silly conspiracies online, but they don't give a specific name, they don't specifically highlight who or what group, right? You just say it in general, very vague. What good does that do? When it's very vague, it could be seen as generalizing everyone, and not everyone is in a bad situation. But then you could argue and say, well, that kind of reflects how the family feel in the background for how they're generalized as well. See, there's for and against arguments. That's why I just want to add that in for the balance, that's all. So, to be honest, you could argue and say, with the levels of resistance on and off and the hurtful comments, whatever they may be, whether it's exaggerated or not, and they could be quite hurtful, what is it doing to the case? It's just slowing down things, or it's preventing others from learning about daily updates. It's kind of like the classroom situation where you get one classroom jokester that does bad, and then the whole class gets punished because of that one person's mistakes and silly behaviour. So it does have knock-on effects. But nevertheless, she says, thank you and thanks to all the people who have been supportive and kind. 4 weeks since Jay missing. The pain, each day we pray. There we go. I should say, if people are going to laugh and be cruel towards any comments, they will be removed and comments will remain off due to the lack of respect some people have. So it has a knock-on effect to the genuine people that just want to learn. They don't have the same access or updates. The police search took in a steep, rocky area, ravines, trails, helicopters deployed to find Mrs. Slater. After halting the operation at the start of July, the Guardia Civil told Sky News the family could bring in their own search and rescue teams to look for the missing teenager. The family could bring in their own search and rescue team. So I guess that correlates with bringing in friends of friends, family to come on over, I guess. But also said rescue teams. And you probably choose rescue teams over friends and family, only because of the expertise, the knowledge, the experience, and no conflicts of interest there. That would help. Anything else? Airbnb owner Ofelia Medina Hernandez said she spoke to the teenager at 8 a.m. on the day of his disappearance, telling him a bus was due at 10 a.m, but he set off walking, which was supposedly the wrong way, and she did not correct him. Now, people pin a lot of blame on her, saying, why didn't she speak up? Why didn't she correct him? What was she doing? But at the end of the day, even if she said to him, you're going the wrong way, do you honestly think Jay Slater would have stuck around? Supposedly, Jay didn't want to stick around, but Jay needed to be on the move quick. He couldn't hang around any longer at the Airbnb. So whilst it's okay to have a go at this Medina Hernandez, well, yeah, could have given a bit of a heads up to say, oh, you're going the wrong way. Where are you going now? What's happening? But you can't babysit someone all the time, right? Is that it? Wow. Pretty basic, right? But I guess this is the situation that comes with the case. You might see a fancy, catchy headline, but then when reading the contents, there might not be much to it. And of course, you can always use that argument against creators and those that may do videos and have their certain titles. But, if specific language is used, correct language, and there is a backstory, there's a depth behind it, the video itself, the explanations, then it shouldn't really be a problem. But still, humans will always have an issue with something. You can't change that. But you can let me know all your thoughts down below. Feel free to catch up on previous coverage of the case. Top right corner screen, I symbol, the last video that I did. Feel free to check it out. Let me know your thoughts. Thanks for your patience and watching. I'll see you next time. Goodbye for now.